Count them out.
Auburn, year 2 of Hugh Freeze. Y'all see Hugh got a hole-in-one on the day before the first day of camp. Danny, you saw that?
I saw it, but I didn't see he posted it with his family, right?
It's like it was everybody he was playing golf with, and it was a great observation. He's holding up the ball, and he's also holding his putter. if you got a hole-in-one, why'd you pull your putter?
You may not have seen it.
Right.
You may not have seen it go in. You may not have seen it drop. That has happened before.
I've never hit a hole. I have 0 hole-in-ones on my record, so I can't speak to it from experience. But I thought that was an interesting observation. But on to the football. Auburn over/under win total at FanDuel Sportsbook of 7.5. Danny, right back to you here. What is the expectation for a roster that appears to be getting better and a quarterback that has remained the same? What are we doing with 7.5?
I don't love this one. I'm going over. I had a scenario, two games. Last year they had a scare against Cal. I don't think that happens again. I think that was, the West Coast trip. I think they start off 3-0. I don't think I see another, potential debacle against the Mountain West team. So I'll say they start off 4-0, and then Oklahoma comes to town. If you've noticed, Oklahoma's win total 7.5. That game is going to be all Oklahoma can handle, and it's after Oklahoma plays Tennessee, their first game in the SEC at home. So I had them as a chance for winning that one. Then it gets rough, losing Georgia, Missouri. The Kentucky game, it was kind of a toss-up game. I gave them the W. Then it comes back. I gave them wins again, Vanderbilt and ULM. And then last 2 games, could they get one of those? And they had Auburn on the ropes last year. Granted, it was at home. I didn't have that one. But the A&M game is one where I'm torn because I am bullish on A&M, but also very well aware that if things don't work out, this could be 2 teams battling for this 7 or 8 win total. But I'm going to lean over. I do think Peyton Thorne, another year in the system. I think like everybody, another year with Hugh Freeze, kind of stability, more comfort. I think you'll see a step forward. And I actually thought kind of quietly they showed some promise last year.
I'm under slightly, like not a huge edge again. But I try to read into what teams do in the offseason. And it's very clear that Auburn was not all in this offseason in the portal. They were very much all in recruiting. So to me, I don't think this is the year that Auburn is trying to really push the chips in. I'll end with the poker analogies. But I do think they improved the roster in some spots. The pass catchers should be better. The offensive line should be better. I'm not a huge believer in some of the defensive linemen who they signed personally. So I'm not really sure that the D-line is that much better. And the secondary is probably the only spot on this team that is like noticeably worse than it was last year, in my opinion. So this should be a better football team. I just have 7-5 come up as the exact record, like a lot of the time, to the point where I was hunting on some of the places that allow you to bet exact records to hunt 7-5. But unfortunately, they match my pricing on it almost exactly. So no edge there either. I think it'll be an improved season, and I fully expect Auburn to be a team that contends for the SEC title in 2025 because I think they're going to be all in the portal, this offseason.
I was very high on Auburn last year, went way over on them, even included it in our, actual win total locks, and didn't work out for me. I'm under this year, but only by a little bit. I've talked about it on the show. I think the ones on the depth chart are good enough that they could compete with a lot of teams in this league. It's the 2s and the 3s where I start to wonder. So it's like this is a team that's going to need a lot of injury luck, I think, to reach its ceiling of getting to this over and maybe even getting to like 9 wins. I think that's not completely insane to think is possible. But like I'm with you, but I feel like a lot of the guys they brought in the defensive line in the portal are like rotation guys. They're not really difference makers. And I do think they've improved at the receiver position. Like Cam Coleman, I think, is a very highly touted. I'm yet to see him play, but I also think Keandre Lambert-Smith is a good guy, but he's not really somebody you want to bring in as your number 1 option. Like I think he's more of a complementary piece than the alpha in that group, or at least he needs to be for your offense to be efficient. Peyton Thorne, I'm really not going to throw more dirt on that kid than I already have. I just think that talent-wise, they've got plenty of talent. They just don't have the depth of talent in this league to win week in and week out. And if they suffer injuries, it could get ugly. I still think they're going to be 7-5, but I mean, they could miss a bowl game if a couple breaks don't go their way.
I have a note that I forgot to add. I think they flipped Deuce Knight from Notre Dame before game 1. The quarterback.
The 2025 quarterback.
Yeah.
Oof.
Notre Dame fans feel the same, at least the ones in my life.
Really?
Oh man, it's been a rough week or so for
Auburn's felt good for about a month, and I'm like, but it like the drumbeat persists. So
I think I'm right on it. I think this is a really, really fair number. Obviously, the price is heavy to the under. There is a Sportsline social media video, like the series where you have to predict every single game. And when I did that, I had it at 7-5. I had their losses as Oklahoma, at Georgia, at Missouri, Texas A&M, and at Alabama. Seems like a sensible 7-5. So I am slightly to the under, but I recognize that this is like could be 6-6 or could be 8-4. But it does seem like we're sort of trending more on the 7-5 side of this. I was trying to find this. What is going to be the Hugh Freeze game? Because we remember last year in year 1, Hugh Freeze had Auburn hanging with Georgia, had Alabama on 4th and a mile until Jalen Milroe came up with those heroics to Isaiah Bond in the Iron Bowl. So where is the game? Where's the New Mexico State game on this? Like where's the series where there's
Vanderbilt? That's where
September 21st.
That's where Diego is.
So it's Arkansas coming to town?
I think so.
Could be.
Oof. Oh, buddy. That would be a good one.
Or like the one that would really piss the fans off is losing at Kentucky, because Auburn fans do not think you should lose Kentucky, but they're probably underdogs in that game right now, actually.
I was thinking that, you play against Georgia, you go into the off week, maybe you don't have a great start at Missouri, second road game. That at Kentucky spot was the one where I was like, I don't know. Things could get a little bit dicey. We've got more on the Wildcats. Coming up on the other side,